Good afternoon, everybody. Phil Brown here with JIT CAD CAM. Welcome back to another Fusion Friday. I know it's been a few weeks with Thanksgiving and me being out of the office for doing training on site with a lot of customers. That being said, we're going to go look at something that I am absolutely ecstatic about, and that's the new Geodesic Toolpath. So let's jump into this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to 3D. We're going to go down to Geodesic. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and give this a tool. And I always, if I ever go into a toolpath and I don't know a lot about that toolpath, or I'm just trying to create something with a toolpath, I always like to hit that OK button. And now that I've hit the OK button, what it is going to prompt me to do, you're familiar with the 2D toolpaths, you got to pick a contour, right? Well, in this case, it's actually asking me to pick a surface. So this is going to be the major difference that you guys are going to notice here between this toolpath and other 3D toolpaths inside of Fusion 360. This toolpath primarily wants to work with a surface out of the start. So let's give it a couple of surfaces. So again, I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. I know I'm going to get a very terrible step over, but we can fix that momentarily. But as you guys can see right out the box, this probably looks a lot familiar, right? Looks like a scallop toolpath. Well, the reason for that is because in the background, it is a scallop toolpath. However, we are driving this now with surfaces versus chains, which allows us to do some really neat things. And again, we're going to bounce around here a lot, but if you're familiar with like a steep and shallow toolpath at this point, I will have to say steep and shallow is starting to look a lot more like a pre-finished toolpath and not a true finished toolpath like this one is here. So let's start with some of the cooler things inside this toolpath. So first and foremost, we can do a selected boundary, as you guys are all familiar with. So let's go ahead and just do a standard selection boundary. I do need to close up this chain. So let's go ahead and close that up. And as you can see, we can change our step over here too, so we can get a little more detail on this path. But what you're going to see once again is this is going to look very much like a scallop toolpath. It's almost identical. The difference is we are avoiding holes. And the reason why we're avoiding holes right now is because we are defining things based on a surface, right? So even though I picked chains here, guys, you're going to notice down here, we still have those two drive surfaces that are actually telling the toolpath where to go. And then the chain is where to stay within, right? So it's a boundary. So that said, let's go ahead and just get a scallop toolpath out and take a look at it. So again, we're going to go ahead and do our scallop toolpath. And let's just compare these two at the lowest level possible. I shouldn't say lowest. It makes it sound way worse than what it is. But we're going to go ahead and just give us a point of reference between these two. So let's get a little reordering here, and let's expand some things out. So a few things is there's your standard scallop toolpath. If you guys didn't know, if we go ahead and turn on our points, we are dipping into those holes. So again, because we're not driving this with a surface, that is one of the key elements that we're starting to notice when it comes to these two different toolpaths. We are also getting a mismatch here in the middle based on our step over settings as well. So that would cause a little bit of a surface defect. But now if we start to look at Geodesic, you're going to notice that it continues to maintain up to the maximum step over as we defined. Again, this is a big difference between Scallop and Geodesic, is this is defined as just a step over, right? So always do 200. When we go back into Geodesic and look at our step over, it is actually a maximum step over. So what it's going to do is it's going to do smaller step overs if it has to obtain creating that data or creating that toolpath data, so to say. So now one other thing that we are going to do inside of this tab is we're actually going to checkbox machine over holes. What you're going to see with machine over holes now is we're actually going to shoot right over top of these holes. We're not going to dip in them. And if I go back to Scallop, you see we're dipping into it. It's creating extra points. Again, that tool nose is plunging in there and making that lovely sound we all love. But again, just at the simplest level, if you just took Scallop away and used Geodesic, you're going to notice that going over top of these holes and other features is night and day difference. But this is even better. So if we go back and we're in the Geodesic toolpath, right? And if I switch back out to surface containment, right? So we went ahead and picked our surfaces. And if I hit OK with this avoid hole situation, what you're going to notice is we're going to machine over this entire cavity here. So on this part, guys, I agree with everybody. not realistic, right? Like you would never machine over something this big of an area. But now if you're dealing with other parts and profiles where there's just weird features you want to go over, based on the edges of the surface, we are getting an extension to actually go right over top of it, right? So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and Control Z out of that so that we can get back to that last use toolpath. But now let's talk about the actual path itself. This is, again, something you can't do inside a Scallop. And this is probably my favorite thing about this, is we can actually define how this toolpath generates the passes and the step overs. So what I'm going to do is very much is we're going to go curve selection, and I'm just going to give it this edge right here, right? So all of my actual tool pathing on this path or on this part is now going to proceed to go outwards or inwards, depending on how you have your settings. But as you're seeing is it's maintaining that curve from that inside arc that we picked or that inside edge that we picked. Again, this completely changes how your tool path interacts and the difference in how these actual surface finishes are coming out. So another really neat thing with this is if we go back in here one more time, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to swap this out for line at center. So again, what you're going to notice is just the way that it transitions around corners. This is going to be dramatically different once again. And this is probably, if I'm just making a guess, if I was back on the shop floor making molds or weird 3D surfaces, the way this now intersects this corner is night and day difference for what I'm doing and how I'm trying to clean up my part, right? So again, we go back to normal Scallop. It's trying to arc in, arc out. It's kind of creating triangles everywhere. Now with the line at center feature, what we are doing is where we can is we're creating that line profile right here, as you can see, directly on center, but we're always trying to maintain that up to a maximum step over to get these surface finishes. Where this is really valuable when we start talking about selecting curves is when we start talking about the blend strategy. So let's go ahead and pivot this over now. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the automatic feature, right? And what I'm going to do is we're going to leave everything back to default. The difference here is we're going to go ahead and pick a blend. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's just say, for example, I want to blend these couple of surfaces right here in this corner, right? So I'm going to go ahead and pick my couple of surfaces. For some reason, I can't click on my mouse today. There we go. It is Friday. And once again, let's just hit OK and see what we get. So as you can see at, again, such a simple level of picking surfaces, Fusion is automatically defining and picking up what we do and don't want for that toolpath. So this is where it gets very interesting, in my opinion, because let's say, for example, let's pick a little different surface here. I am going to machine on this specific surface right here, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit OK. And what you're going to notice is it's going to run along that surface, right? But I don't want to run along that surface. I want to run up and down that surface. This is where the ability to pick contours is going to change everything you do inside of Fusion surfacing, right? So I'm going to say curve selection. And now I'm going to hold my Alt key so that I just pick one chain. Keep in mind, you guys are going to use an open or a closed chain, larger, smaller, but you only can do 2 chains, right? So as you can see, I've now picked those 2 chains to define direction. And just like that, we are now running up and down that surface. So again, we are now giving this a guide curve in order to machine this surface based on what we want. Another way to look at this is there is toolpaths out there and other softwares. I will not mention the software, but between 2 curves and this toolpath with being able to use those rails is almost identical now. It feels so much similar, however, much easier to use, right? So a few other things about this geodesic as you guys start to get into it, like I said, is keep everything as simple as possible always when you first start out, right? So again, is if I just wanted to do this lower fillet and blend this on my part, I could go ahead and grab that lower fillet, and all I'm doing is selecting the surfaces, nothing more, and set my step down or my step over in this case, and I hit OK, and you're going to notice that it's automatically doing 90% of what I need to do. In this case, it's not, because remember, we did say machine over holes, right? So let's go ahead and kick off machine over holes. And let's go back to that toolpath. So again, based on that surfaces that we are machining, and I am getting an error here, so let's go back and see what we need to fix. At this point, I've probably turned on way too many things, as I always do. So let's go ahead and just start a brand new toolpath here. So again, I have my tool. Actually, I know exactly what it is. Let's go back. So my tool is too big for the actual profile we're trying to cut. So let's just step this down to a smaller end mill. This is why people pay me for support, guys. It's because I, right off the top of my head, figured out what was wrong. But again, nothing more than picking just simple geometry has allowed me to go in and just blend that fillet from the floor up to the walls. These floors are not flat where I can use a horizontal, but they are three-dimensional when you consider they vary in Z. Again, this blend strategy is, man, I honestly don't even know what to say about it because it is so great and so easy to use the Geodesic Toolpath with doing these actual surfacing, finishing, and profiles. So with that, guys, let's see if there's anything else in here that I've forgot to overlook. Again, realistically speaking, it's mainly surface driven. You are going to need surfaces defined to what surface you want to machine. You can give it boundaries manually still. Another thing is the way you offset your passes themselves. And then lastly, in your passes tab, this is kind of something that I really like is you still have that ability to do like spiral, or as I like to say, kind of like a ramp or a continuous toolpath. So it's always stepping over versus retract, reconfigure kind of moves. Another few things that you could do here is you still have your minimum cutting radiuses, your smoothing is in here, and that machining over holes, guys. I know a ton of people that have, how do I patch this? I can't patch this. I can't go over that. Right there with the checkbox, you can accomplish a lot. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys to it. But before I do, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And you guys all know myself, Phil Brown here at JitCAD. So what I am going to ask you is to like, follow, and subscribe as always. Come check out our website. And if you guys are looking to purchase Fusion or need anything from support to training, feel free to reach out to us through our website or the email down below, and we can help you in any way possible.